And today we are doing the Steamvaults. I'm joining a rep run, so I can try and get the last of my rep done. Hopefully by the end of this run, but probably not. Our group is a rogue, a priest, a DPS warrior, and a hunter. The DPS warrior said he was AFK for a little bit, so we're just gonna start. So I actually do rather like the Steamvaults. It's a fun dungeon. And unfortunately, our rogue laid flurries very quickly, and yeah, good luck with threat for me. But anyway, the warriors don't really do anything. They've got this mortal blow, which, I mean, who cares? It's 700 HP. Lost. No real big deal. I'm also going to... So, in terms of what you want to kill, the sirens will fear. That, in my opinion, is a pretty high priority target. So, we want to mostly focus on the sirens. And there we go. There is our DPS warrior. But as you can kind of see, the warriors don't really do anything. And for the most part can be pretty much ignored. Let's give a Mark of the Wild to our warrior. Gonna pull the Boglord. We're gonna be clearing all the trash since this is a rep run. But the Boglords pretty much, they hit pretty hard. And they do this fungal decay thing, which it's tank and spank. It's more concerned for the healer, if anything. So the healer just needs to make sure that I don't die, because it actually is pretty high damage. So it looks like we're good. We've also got the engineers. So the engineers don't do much as well. What these guys do is they cast an electrical net, which roots you, and then they'll just kind of run. So it's no real big deal. But none of it's too concerning, really, at all. Alright, we've got a 4-pack. We've also got the oracles. Oracles are the other healers, so, you know, they're the highest priority. We're gonna pull this away from the patrolling pack, and hopefully people will be able to kill the healer first. I'm going to just let them tank that, so I can make sure that if the sirens fear, I can stun it. Well, now we've got a rogue on top of it, so it's all good. And all are good. You've also got a Tidal Surger packs, which we'll do later. We'll just do this double siren oracle pack. But as you can just kind of see, eventually I just give up on threat when things are low. Anyway, there is the fear. Looks like the rogue is going to pull that. Is he going to vanish? No. The rogue didn't vanish. So the Tidal Surgers don't really do anything. I just have some ads. So, you know, you just kill them. Make sure that the healer doesn't get attacked, and you're good. But yeah, the Tidal Surgers, they don't do much. Gonna just innovate the healer just so we can pull. Pull this pack back. I'm gonna mark that as cross. And yeah, the warriors just gonna sweeping strike off the bat before I can even get some threat. I think I need to actually message. You can hold your dick on cleave for 5 to 6 seconds. Alright. We'll ensure that the warrior and the rogue is just willing to actually slow down just a tiny bit. Since I mean the damage is actually not too bad. It's not casted damage, but you know. I think the main thing though is like it's pretty simple. You need to have decent threat, otherwise it just ends up taking longer since you have to wait for the healer to get mana and stuff. Alright. Pull this Boglord. Be all pretty good. Pull the Boglord again. And I think that's actually the last Boglord. Oh no, we do have one behind there. But you can kind of see it's pretty high damage. I'm just going to save some rage since I'm good. I'm just going to pre-pull the Tidal Surger. Miss my maul. Get the misdirect, which is awesome. And just make sure they've got some aggro on the abs. Retaunt the main one, and we should be good to go. Okay, now we've got this 4-pack with a Siren, so we're gonna Siren, Mangle, and start getting some decent aggro on the rest. Swap back to the Siren. And I'm just going to deform so we can actually, so I can get our roots. And also pop a bark skin. Don't normally do that because it's high risk. But I felt like I kind of had to do I had to unroot anyway, so why not bark skin? So that is all good on that front. We're just gonna kill the Tidal Surger next. Range pull and rage, pop my DPS trinket. Mangle misses. I'm just gonna get aggro on some of the ads, and now we taunt. At some point you just have to make sure that you've got aggro on the ad so you can continue to gain rage. Alright, again a Oracle 2 Engineer Warrior pack. Alright, cool, we got our Mangle crit, so no needs to worry about threat for like a couple more seconds. Now we swap back, do another Mangle crit, so we're all good. Now we can just swipe our way to victory. But yeah, we've got pretty much good threat for these now, I reckon. Let's just start putting some lacerates on. We'll see if the rogue can unlock. That's awesome. And what do we get? Looks like that was a failed attempt. Ooh, plate gloves off the gorilla. think quite possibly one of the worst combinations. Well, actually, probably not. I'd say the wolf is worse. The boar's pretty bad as well. Looks like we've got people who don't like targeting our cross. We do have a Helm of the Bandit though, which is always pretty fun. Oh, greens. Lots of greens. Alright, cool. Oracle. Let's cross the Siren. Rage, since I need rage, and the healer is doing an absolutely perfectly fine job. Cool, just going to one skull now. Thank you for the stun though. I can't even keep threat on it. So we give up and we move on to the next. Don't know how I lost aggro to the healer, but looks like we're all good. Ooh, Quofang amendments. That's always good. That's 75 reps, so this may actually need to be my my last run of Steamvaults. Ooh, big crit on Skull. Well, I hope that doesn't pull boss. That would have been pretty awful. Alright, cool. Gonna charge the warrior and just focus on saving the healer. The one person you... I mean, sometimes you just let the DPS die because they kind of deserve it. But not the healer. The healer you always make sure that is good. I'm just gonna get rid of that and buff myself. I really do need to buy the book. Alright, this boss. Pretty simple. Has 2 ads, which you gotta kill. And the boss also casts Thunderstorm AoE clouds, which you have to stand out of. Like, you can potentially Zerg boss with the right group. This is melee heavy. We're not doing that. We're just going to allow the DPS to defeat the elementals. And what I'm going to be doing is I am probably going to ignore Skull for the most part. I don't know how. Anyway, there's my taunt just as I lost aggro, so it's all good. Alright, and we're back. Now we're just defeating the Hydromancer. It does seem to be, well, she does seem to be debuffing someone, so when she turns around and attacks, it does seem to do a debuff. I'm not entirely sure what. Probably nothing you need to really care about. But as you can see, there was like a Thunderstorm, and she doesn't cast too many of them. Kind of like, why this boss even? Why? I am probably going to need for my DPS set. Don't know what the Vial of the Underwhelm Loom. Maybe that's a tailoring quest. Anyway, next boss. Next mobs, the Mithridans. The Myrmidons. I don't know how you say it. But anyway, these guys just sweeping strikes and cleave. Not the best for melee. Actually kind of a pain. But you know. I would just view them as just make sure that they're staying away from the rest of your mobs. Anyway, we're just going to run at the pack. Get a mangle on Skull. Swipe a bit, go back to Skull, and let's make sure we've got all the threat from end to end. Yeah, I got a compliment from the rogue. That's always nice. I agree, we are doing pretty well. And maybe one more. Alright, cool. And now we got our final Boglord. And that was hiding away. Now, I'm not sure. I need like 880 rep. I'm not sure how much there is left of it in this instance. So we're gonna have to kill a bunch of the slaves though. Alright. Anyway, that's the Boglord. Gonna get some nice herbs. But we've already got like 1k rep just from this dungeon. Alright, cool. Now, the sorcerers. These sorcerers, they cast a frostbolt, they also do a blizzard. That's their main thing. I know that they definitely hit a lot harder in heroic, if I remember, based on private servers. But they're like medium threat. I don't view them as particularly high threat. Definitely a more deadly mob. Definitely a more scary mob compared to the warriors. But they're still in that kind of who cares type of mob, where it's all pretty well. You can kind of just work with it. They also do a frost nova, but once again, it is one of those. Who really cares? Because you just save a stun. We've got 2 melee, so interrupts are no issue. Alright, so I would definitely say that they are higher threat compared to the Myrmidons. Just gonna mark this one as cross. Yeah. Like, even with... I can just see the cleave animation occur. Not to mention the sweeping strikes, which are kind of unavoidable, unfortunately. They're just gonna get hit. It's a bit of a melee unfriendly mechanic. Alright, so we've got 2 sirens. So both of the sirens I would assign higher threat. It's really nice to have a shaman, to be honest, with these types of mobs. I am getting pretty... Oh, I've got down to like 40% HP. Not too fun, just gonna let them kill Skull. I get threat on everything else. And then I'm just gonna mark the Sorceress as Skull for the next target. And we should be able to innovate our healer. Yep, so we'll go with the Sirens again as our highest priority. Just gonna swipe some of the non-kill mobs. Alright, looks like we've got reasonable threat on all of them. And we're just gonna continue to swipe, mangle, cross. People are doing a really good job of killing the kill targets, so super happy with that. When people kill the kill targets, tanking this thing is just easy as hell. I do love the battle shell on DPS warriors. It's really nice never having to worry about loot being a potential consideration. So I don't think that the engineers really do anything worthwhile. It's just that they do something. And I would say, you know, on average, the Myrmidons are gonna be slightly higher threat, just because of the sweeping strikes and the cleave. Whereas, I mean, who really cares about the engineers? Unless people view them as high threat and don't follow kill targets. But, you know, you can't win them all. Alright, next pool of Myrmidons. Oh, in the chest. Miss my Mangle. I'm not having a lot of luck with Mangle. Really need to eventually get some expertise in this guy. Alright, just gonna pull some Rage. And we got our next thing, which is the Slaves and the Slave Master. So if you pull the Slave Master, he'll get a couple of slaves to assist him, and if you kill the slaves first, you get rep. The slaves don't actually do anything too interesting, so in general, we attempt to kill the slaves before the Slave Master gets in the rep. But yeah, the Slave Master will disarm, and yeah, get slaves to attack you as well. But if you kill the Slave Master, you kind of free the slaves, and you get rep for killing the slaves, so a bit like dumb in that way. So we're going to wait for this to be as close as possible. So we don't get any slaves and we can continue to kill. Otherwise, and if he does do a disarm, it doesn't really matter at all. Simple reason, we're a feral druid. We don't, the downside for that isn't that bad. Alright, so I'm gonna pull these slaves. And I'm just going to straight up lose threat. And the main thing is just to ensure that... Oh my god, a priest that actually has spec'd into Holy Nova. I love that. There's been so many occasions where I really wanted the priest to have a Holy Nova, and they never do. In fact, I think I grouped with this priest before. I think we just did Black Morass together. Anyway, you don't need to worry too much about threat with these guys since they only hit kinda hard. Well, kinda hard for melee. Alright, we will actually need to wait for the healer to get mana since innovation is not on cooldown. But in the meantime, I'm going to pull this way with Hurricane. So if you think of all the slaves we just killed, it's like, I don't know, that's like, it's about 200 extra rep per run. You just kill the slaves. Now, if you're into kind of heroic, maybe you don't really care too much and you just care about getting the instance done. I know that there's a good Druid weapon when you get exalted with this faction, but I'm not really too rushed. But anyway, next Slave Master. Like, normally you would just pull the Slave Master, focus it, and then the slaves won't attack you. They'll just be like, alright, cool, thanks for freeing us. So I'm gonna mark the slave as Skull, just so we don't miss out on the rep. because I don't really want to have to do another Steamvault normal run with like a tiny bit of rec left. So there's this arm. Doesn't matter. I do not have frags. Gonna give myself fawns again, because it's kind of good. We don't have good AoE in this group, so I am not gonna pull all of them. Our best AoE is unfortunately the priest. Alright, we're going to wait for everyone to be good. Good current fight. So it definitely seems like, yeah, the priest is helping out, but the warrior's cleave is pretty good. Are you fucking serious? Alright. Back. All good, all good, all good. Okay. So with this boss, the main thing to kind of note about him is that he gets these Edel small ads which will heal him. And that's kind of like the fight. It's sort of balancing DPS against this boss versus the ads. But I mean, like, for the most part, it's pretty easy to kill. As long as the healer isn't dying, I don't really care. And I think we're just gonna Zerg boss. But with that said though, there is definitely a decent amount of healing going on. And oh boy, the boss ain't dying. There we go. Okay. Was a bit uncertain about that. Steam Hinge of Valor. Completely useless for a Druid. Anyway, let's open the main chamber access panel. I am really hoping that someone opened up the other one. It looks like that is the case. So we are good. So with this, we got 200 rep left. It looks like I will not need to do this again. I'll just whisper the rogue. Alright. Good to continue the communication. People who want to group with you, though it is a rogue, so there is a little bit of loot shared. Anyway, back to a regular show. Oracle, Skull. Ross is the sorceress. And now we swipe. And hopefully the warrior can come back, because the DPS is actually pretty alright. Oh, I've actually lost aggro straight up. That's like the worst part about switching strikes, you're not entirely sure, because they just will begin to like randomly face the rogue. and you don't always know if it's going to be a sweeping strike or if you've just lost aggro until it's just like, oh crap, he's hit the rogue for a couple of extra seconds. Alright, I'm just going to kill the siren first this time. Normally I'm pretty much keen, but anyway, I'm just going to do a stun on the skull. Fortunately, please vanish. Thank you so much, Mr. Rogue. You are probably better off pulling these outside of the room, to be honest. Otherwise, you may pull an extra pack when it's not needed, and yeah, I would label that more as my fault rather than the rogue's issue. Anyway, gonna kill the Oracle this time first. Just gonna pull them back a tiny bit so we don't have the same issue happen. I'm fit, so just gonna get aggro on the things that I can easily get aggro on. Just gonna stun the blizzards so we don't take too much damage. And we're on to the final trash pack. Let's go Oracle Siren, have a rage up, swipe to begin, mangle, then swipe again. We get pretty lucky with crits, so don't need to worry too much about aggro. And looks like we are good to do the boss. And another ornament, which is not needed since this boss will give me revered. Alright, so with this boss, pretty much it's a simple tank and spank, but he will turn one of these thingies, majigs, I don't know what they are, coolers, down, and when he does that, you have to kill it. Otherwise he enrages and increases his damage by like 125%. Or something like that. It definitely increases his attack speed. He also does a little bit more damage. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's not the end of the world in normal. Like in fact, I could use the rage. I could just straight up use the rage. The Naga Distiller, yeah, so if they weren't able to kill the Naga Distiller, we would get an attack buff. So now what we do is we just make sure that it is near, so the melee can actually cleave it. And also they don't have to wait too much, or wait too long to be able to damage it. But yeah, it's a pretty basic boss. And it's dead. I've now hit revered. Awesome. Anyway, I've seen that ring drop like 5 times from this instance. Anyway, that is the Steamvaults. Pretty easy, fun dungeon.